Hello again, welcome to Side 2. Now we return to local news with Sonia. Over to you, Sonia.
The ICF Canoe World Slalom Championships 2015 are coming to Lee Valley Whitewater Centre, and we have 2 pairs of weekend passes up for grabs. With new figures from British Canoeing revealing that 1.5 million people went canoeing last year, the organisation is now trying to encourage more families to sample the sport ahead of the championships, which run from September the 16th to 20th. And you can be there on the weekend of September the 19th and 20th. With statistics showing that female participation rates are now at the highest they have been since 2002, a 56% increase, the next step for the sport is to encourage more families onto the water, especially since participation in canoeing is currently highest among students, workers and parents. The championships, which are taking place on the Olympic course at the centre in Waltham Cross, will have a family feel this year, with a dedicated expo area featuring the best of the Great British Summertime, including food and drink stands, a bouncy castle, a climbing wall, and even a Pimm's tent for thirsty parents. Sports fans will be all treated to displays from a host of British talent, including 2012 Olympic champion Etienne Stott, with new partner Mark Proctor and Olympic silver medalists David Florence and Richard Hounslow. There will also be a number of future stars taking to the water, including under-23 world champion Adam Burgess and 2-time world silver medalist Mallory Franklin. Canoe slalom is often described as canoeing's most challenging discipline, as competitors tackle whitewater rapids which test their speed, agility and precision. Paddlers must navigate a sequence of gates in number order, set up over rapids, waves, eddies and currents, along a 300-metre stretch of water. For your chance to win, simply answer this question. Where are the ICF Canoe World Slalom Championships being held? A. Lee Valley. B. Wembley Stadium. C. Twickenham. Send your answer with your name, address and a daytime telephone number to British Canoeing Competition, North London and Herts Newspapers, 187 Baker Street, Enfield, EN1 3JT. Or send your answer with your contact details to competitions@nlhnews.co.uk with canoeing in the subject line by noon on Thursday, September the 3rd.
Proud teenagers clutched freshly opened envelopes and jumped for joy as they found out their GCSE fate. Pupils across the borough decided the next step of their education after many received top marks. At Oasis Academy, Hadley, Podner's End, Anisha Atkar received 1 A star, 5 A's, 1 B and 2 C's, including full marks in an ICT exam which brought her grade up to an A star. She said, "I'm so proud of myself. My mum started crying when I told her." Many students were shocked to get high maths results after an unexpectedly difficult exam. Shakir Ali, who achieved 8 A's and 2 B's, said, "I got what I wanted, an A." Principal Lynda said she was very pleased with the results, which reflected all the hard work the students had put in. But the route to success was not straightforward for some, including Elena Strzeżewski, who was praised by all the staff for making the biggest improvement to get her final results, 3 A stars, 4 A's and 3 B's. She said, "I figured out a career path and then I figured out what I needed to prioritise, science and maths." She hopes to become a dentist and is thrilled with her maths results, which jumped from a C grade to an A star over the 3 years due to unwavering support from her teacher, Mr. Carr. Miss Dawes is particularly proud of Lily Ahmed, who pulled through to achieve 8 GCSEs after only passing 2 exams last year, as she went through a very difficult time in her life. Lily said, "I was revising some days until 4 a.m. and my mum was with me all the way. My mum and sister really pushed me through." At Southgate School, head teacher Martin Lavelle was celebrating higher results than the previous year. He said, "It's getting harder to get the top grades, so we are bucking the trend." The range between the highest and lowest performers decreased by 20%, which Mr. Lavelle believes shows the school's inclusivity. He attributes the success to strong pastoral care, including monitoring students and staging interventions when needed. Sam Casserly benefited from an intervention by Head of Year S.N. Hussain. He said, "There were hurdles. I was hoping to scrape 4 C's and 4 C's and 3 B's. I put in a lot of hard work, but Miss Hussain worked hard to enable me to drop a subject so I could focus on the core subjects." Friends Vicky Hall and Nicole Kiriakou were both celebrating all ASs and A stars. Vicky was more relieved about Nicole's results than her own, since she had promised to do something extremely silly if Nicole did not get an A star in maths. Vicky said, "I was so sure that Nikki would get an A star that I came up with an outrageous bet." Few parents accompanied their children to school, but the teenagers are anxious to pass on the very good news.
The Mayor's Charity Fun Run is back once again next month. The Fun Run at 40 Hall will see a 3-kilometre and a 10-kilometre run on September the 20th, with all the proceeds going to dementia charities. Mayor of Enfield, Councillor Patricia Akechi, said, "The Fun Run is a great way to spend your morning in a beautiful setting while supporting a good cause. All money raised for the appeal will be going to help sufferers and their carers in Enfield." Councillor Naki Kiazor, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Public Health and Sport, said, "The fun runs in Enfield are thoroughly enjoyable and have been successful every year. I am urging everyone who is free to sign up. It's a fantastic way to spend time with friends and family while keeping fit and raising money for a good cause. To take part, visit the website enfield.gov.uk/funrun.
A 6-year-old girl is cutting her long hair off to make wigs for sick children. Brooke Murray is blessed with long blonde hair that keeps growing, despite being the only one of 3 sisters who was born bald. After months of nagging her mother, Laura, to cut her hair for the Little Princess's charity, which makes wigs for children with cancer, Laura finally agreed. She has already raised £655, smashing her target of £300. She said, "I don't know how I got to £630 because Daddy hasn't given me any money yet." But her mother has promised to ensure her father does uphold his end of the bargain and will donate after the big day on August the 27th. Brooke's 16 inches currently come down to her thigh, and her hair will be cut by Strand's hairdresser in Barnet for free. When Brooke heard that the Little Princess Trust gives wigs to sick children for free, in spite of the fact that they cost £350 to make, she was determined to donate her hair and raise money. Laura said, "She's so kind-hearted, she just wants to give all the time. She is also headstrong. She has been asking me daily to get her hair cut, but I wasn't ready." Donations have poured in, including from anonymous donors. Brooke will return to Raglan Infant School in September with a new, sophisticated, shoulder-length bob. She will still wear her hair in her favourite style, a bun, but will no longer be able to plait her long locks in the pigtails of her favourite princess, Anna from Frozen. When her hair grows back, she plans to cut it off for the charity again. To donate, just visit www.justgiving.com/Brooke-Murray 06 /.
Here's another charity story. A Southgate man cycled the length of the Tube's district line on Sunday, raising more than £20,000 for charity in the process, in honour of a former colleague who suffers from a brain tumour. Leon Hall is more used to keeping the wheels of London Underground running as a delivery upgrade manager for Transport for London, and the 42-year-old of Chelmsford Road organised the challenge in a bid to raise funds for research into brain tumours, a condition suffered by his friend and former TfL colleague Steve Lloyd. The 39-year-old from Hockley in Essex has been battling the aggressive, inoperable tumour since he was first diagnosed in 2008, and Steve had to quit his job at TfL to spend more time with his family. Leon was previously touched by the loss of another friend from a brain tumour, Louise Hudson, who died in 2010, aged 36. 5 teams of riders set off from 5 district line terminus stations on Santander hire bikes, making their way towards the finishing line at Tower Hill in central London. Riders were joined at the finish by family and friends, including England and Arsenal footballer Carl Jenkinson, who is currently on loan at West Ham. "We don't believe anyone has done an event quite like this before, and we have been overwhelmed by the support we have had," said Leon. Hugh Adams, head of external affairs at Brain Tumour Research, said, "Brain tumours kill more children and adults under the age of 40 than any other cancer, yet just 1% of the national spend on cancer research is allocated to this devastating disease, and this is unacceptable."
A man has died after collapsing at the 18th hole of a golf course. The man, believed to be in his 20s, received treatment by paramedics at Trent Park Golf Course in Bramley Road, but were unable to resuscitate him. Rob Macmillan, who was playing with friends at the course for the first time in 15 years, described the incident. He said, "We heard a lot of commotion happening outside. The 18th hole is very close to the bar where we were sat. Staff dashed out to him while someone called the ambulance, but sadly he could not be revived." Mr. Macmillan also said the man was playing on his own, and staff claimed the man played regularly at the course by himself, but was not known to anyone there. A post-mortem into the man's death will be arranged in due course.
An 11-year-old who recovered from cancer has been given a chance to take to the waters for the first time. Emre Mehmet from Palmer's Green finished cancer treatment in March 2011 for a stage 4 metastatic Wilms tumour at Great Ormond Street Hospital. As part of the Ellen MacArthur Cancer Trust, Emery was given the chance to ride the waves with 25 other young people aged 8 to 18 recovering from cancer. He said, "It is nice to spend time with other young people who have been through similar experiences because they understand what you've been through." The team took to the 48-foot cruising yacht for a 4-day adventure around the south coast, where Emery was shown sailing techniques. Departing from South Coast HQ in East Cowes Marina, Isle of Wight, the trip navigated the waters of the Solent, which took them to various stopovers, including Yarmouth Harbour and the picturesque bay of Newtown Creek.
A 12-year-old from Edmonton has been named runner-up of a national story writing contest. Divine Oteria from Oasis Academy fought off nearly 15,000 children to be named one of the best writers in the country. His story, called A Strange Dream, was selected by judge and popular children's author Jonathan Mears, author of best-selling World of Norm series. The competition, now in its 7th year, is run by Explore Learning, a tuition provider with a centre in the local area. Participants were asked to write a story on the theme Strange Events and Peculiar Happenings. First prize went to 12-year-old Alexander Boxall from Eastbourne, who won a Disneyland trip and £500 worth of school books. Speaking about the high standard of entries, Mr. Mears said, "You're probably all expecting me to say something about how incredibly high the standard of entries were and how impressed I've been with the quality of the writing, because that's the kind of stuff that judges always say. But I'm afraid that's exactly what I'm going to say. The standard of stories has been exceptional, has made for some very entertaining reading, but has also made the task of choosing just one winner almost impossible."
They always say that as well, don't they? Combining beauty with conservation is not your conventional mix, but a Southgate model is hoping to do just that. Rachel Cadman is representing North London at the Miss Earth UK Grand Final in a bid to represent the country at one of the biggest beauty pageants in Vienna. The overall winner will travel the world promoting conservation. The social media assistant must take on a series of tasks, including giving a talk on conservation, an interview, and several catwalks before a winner is announced. Miss Cadman said, "I'm so nervous. There are so many rounds. But it should be an exciting weekend, and it would mean everything to be able to win and represent my country in Austria." The UK team will be made up of winners from England, Wales and Scotland. What happened to Northern Ireland, I asked myself. Miss Cadman told the Enfield Independent her reasons for entering the competition. She said, "I was looking for a competition that allowed me to represent myself and promote eco-friendliness, something I'm passionate about. I'm not all about the crown, but hopefully making a difference." Late last year, I was lucky enough to visit an elephant conservation site in Thailand and donate clothes to the local orphanage. It was an eye-opening experience. I have also convinced my father to try the eco-friendly route within his business. The Southgate hopeful has spent hours practicing and is sponsored by global fashion app Shopcade for the competition, which takes place at the McDonald Burlington Hotel in Birmingham.
A company that formerly ran a laser tag site has been fined more than £6,000 for having an unhygienic kitchen. Under previous management, the Enfield Quasar in Queensway was found to have a filthy kitchen with dirty equipment and badly cooked food. Health officers demanded a deep clean following the inspection on June the 28th, 2014. During a follow-up visit, officers were informed that 3 members of staff had been booked onto a Level 2 catering course in food safety and hygiene. Since the prosecution, the management of the venue has changed and the premises are now fully compliant. Councillor Daniel Anderson, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment, said, "Enfield Council does not tolerate businesses who cannot or will not comply with the law. I am delighted to hear that under new management, Enfield Quasar has now passed all its health inspections."
Jinbei Ju is about to experience heaven and hell on the high seas as she sets sail on Sunday on the adventure of a lifetime. Enormous swells and dangerous 70-foot waves whipped up by hurricane-force winds await the 22-year-old from Southgate, together thankfully with more tranquil seas, as she and 700 other novice sailors take part in the 11-month-long Clipper round the world yacht race. Jinbei, who lives in Oxford Avenue, moved to the UK from China when she was just 15 to go to boarding school and applied for what's been dubbed of one of the toughest endurance challenges on the planet after her relationship with her boyfriend of 2 years broke up because he didn't want to get married and she did. The former architecture student at Central St Martin's College of Art in Bloomsbury in central London also possesses a degree in psychology, which she gained in China, and said, "I suddenly realised I had too much I hadn't done in my life to be tied down so young. I'd seen the poster for the race on the Underground, and it was something which appealed to me. Originally from Shanghai, she will set off in one of the dozen 70-foot racing yachts manned by a professional skipper and crew of 23 from St Catherine Docks in London's Docklands, travelling 40,000 nautical miles. The biennial race is split into 8 legs with 16 individual races and is not for the faint-hearted, crossing the world's most challenging oceans and faced by some of the harshest weather conditions. Most participants usually do 1 or 2 legs, as it costs about £3,000 each leg, and some say for years to take part. But Shanbei is undertaking the full circumnavigation at a cost of £45,000, which she has borrowed from her wealthy father, the owner of one of China's largest sewing machine manufacturers. And she has no previous sailing experience, but for the past month she has been undergoing intensive training aboard a clipper at Gosport on the south coast in Hampshire, being taught how to sail and learning about survival skills. However, deep water holds no fear for her, as she is a top free diver, plunging to lung-bursting depths without an oxygen tank before resurfacing. She is ranked 4th best in China and can hold her breath underwater for 4.5 minutes. Her mother will wave her off, having travelled to England from China, and Shanbei will be reunited with her family when the race's Asia-Pacific leg is completed at the port of Qingdao in Shandong province. It will be a test of physical and emotional endurance, says Shanbei. The living conditions are cramped, and the crews have to do 4-hour and 6-hour watches, which can be exhausting. But there'll be dead calms, beautiful sunsets, literally a whole blanket of stars, and it really will be a life-changing experience.
Providing it doesn't sink. A trio from the Chicken Shed Theatre Company weren't play acting at being terrified after a white-knuckle thrill ride. 3 members of the Inclusive Theatre, based in Chaseside, Southgate, had an exhilarating experience riding the rapids at the Lee Valley Whitewater Centre in Waltham Cross. Where have we heard that before tonight? It was one of the corporate fundraising events organised by Chicken Shed for businesses and companies which support the theatre financially. Head of Funding, Adam Gallagher, Events Manager Ruth O'Malley, and supporter Keith Sampson joined employees from a construction company based in the city as 7 rafts, crewed by 9 people, raced to see who could complete the course in the fastest time. That was followed by a barbecue. It was terrifying, but exhilarating. I don't think she's referring to the barbecue there. It was one of the corporate events we organise for businesses which support us, and it raised us a total of £20,000, which will help us deliver our aims in working with young people. We are looking to grow and develop partnerships with major corporations as well as businesses locally, providing fun corporate activities as we are holding them nearby, including a clay pigeon shoot in the near future at the Royal Berkshire Shooting School. Convoluted, but apparent.
Boys from Edmonton Eagles Amateur Boxing Club rise up to the challenge of their rivals, building up strength during regular Saturday afternoon sessions for 13 and 14-year-olds. The club, based in Montague Road, Edmonton, provides classes 5 days a week and prides itself on hosting a cheap alternative for sporting initiatives in the borough. A team of 17 volunteers trains 250 boxers a week. Kiri Luris, Funding and Liaison Officer, describes the continuing support Edmonton Eagles provides for challenging and motivating young people. He said, "We provide sporting facilities for those who are under financial constraints, and for those often struggling with negativity in a socially deprived area. Boxing classes are wholesome and rounded for each individual, raising aspiration and motivation for hundreds, both young and old.
Golfers have swung their clubs for charity, raising hundreds of pounds. Enfield Golf Club in Old Park Road, South Enfield, hosted the borough's first Jamaica Pro Tour event, in which professional and amateur players compete side by side before the field was split into a professional-only tournament. Club members took part on Friday, the first day of the competition, and thanks to a charity raffle, the club was able to raise £760 to be divided between 3 charities: the Ken Rose Foundation, the Nightingale Trust, and Dream Flight. The club had been chosen to host the prestigious award tournament in recognition of the fact that it is the home club of professional golfer Harry Casey. Speaking to the Advertiser as the tournament was drawing to a close on the Tuesday afternoon after a series of rain delays over the weekend, the club's general manager, Paul Beresford-Green, said, "The members got the chance to compete with professional golfers, and then many stayed to watch the rest of the tournament over the next few days. They stayed around to pick up some tips on what to do and maybe what not to do as well."
Chijindu Uja missed out on a place in the World Championships 100-metre final in China last Sunday. The Enfield and Haringey sprinter finished the semi-finals in Beijing after finishing second in his heat with a time of 10.05 seconds behind the American winner Trayvon Bromell. But Uja finished fifth in his semi-final after again recording a time of 10.05 seconds. Uja tweeted, "Today wasn't to be. I can only take the positives from this, but on to the next champs. Thanks to everyone who has supported me. I'll be back." We've now reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of Sonia, Roz and myself and Robin on the controls, it's goodbye. Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet. Put the cassette into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible, in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking Newspaper. The Enfield Talking Newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.